Rutendo.
Zimbabwe never declared a war in South Africa, so is Mozambique. South Africans, you're talking of the era of proxy wars. The world was divided between socialism or the communist and the capitalist. These are proxy wars. Cuba, it was the agent of Russia. South Africa was sponsored by the West, be it Britain and America. When Gorbachev got into power, in the mid-80s, 85, 86, he started reforms in Russia called the glasnost and perestroika, which means like, transparency and reforms and political reforms. He went to the States to meet Ronald Reagan. That's when they started talking about peace, because Russia was exhausted. They were facing a bankruptcy. And then they made peace and said, you know what, Russia must withdraw, their support, from all these ground forces that they had. In Mozambique, they were supporting Frelimo. That's why South Africa attacked them, because South Africa was supported by America. In Angola, the same thing. Dos Santos was supported by Russia.
So let's ask you a question.
Americans.
If Zimbabwe was the one fighting the war in Mozambique, who was supporting Zimbabwe?
I'm saying ZANU-PF, they trained in China. And ZAPU was, the Soviet. But after ZANU won, of which it caught the ANC by surprise, because the ANC wanted ZAPU, they wanted Mr. Nkomo to win. But anyway, they worked with Mugabe post-liberation. Hence, Mugabe still had, that animosity, and hence, it did not give them that leeway. So, when you say Zimbabwe, they might have sent maybe a few troops, but what I'm saying is that they never declared
12,000.
They never declared a war in Mozambique. Maybe they assisted with the intelligence, they assisted, with equipment here and there. Unlike in Angola. In Angola, there was a fully fledged war.
Same as Mozambique.
It was
and it's important for us to set those facts straight.
In Mozambique, it was known. If you ask anybody, it will tell you that it was Alfonso Dlagama and Machel.
Yes, but he was representing the South Africans, and they were trained here in South Africa. They were equipped by the South Africans. They were trained in South African camps. They had South African commandos
Zimbabwe,
with
they
them.
were hiding their footprints. But when are you talking as if like we were like children? All these countries, they were fighting on our behalf.
They were. Because Zimbabwe had no reason to go and fight in Mozambique without South Africa.
Let's allow each other, guys, please.
It's like we were children sitting here, and as if,
but remember, he was just supposed to make a point. Now he's taken over from...
Oh, you still want to continue? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll come in.
So I have got issue with what you're saying, because when you deploy 12,000 people, that's a war. And when you deploy your jets and your helicopters, and you have to fight battles like the Battle of Casa Banana and take Gorongosa.
Can I verify the number?
Yeah? What's that?
The 12,000, 12,000. Where is there a place where I can go to verify the number?
I think we can check it
post
after the
it
show.
after the-
Even now,
He stated
you
it.
can Google.
No, we can do it after in the interest of time.
So when you see the Battle of Gorongosa, that was a major battle. Then you see the Battle of Mutarara, where we eventually finished Renamo and destroyed their camps after they tried to divide Mozambique into two. They were defeating Renamo. Renamo couldn't stand a chance. That's how serious these guys were. And that's how well trained
I'd like
they
to
were.
come in here, Rutendo.
But before on the Soviet training, Zimbabwe was actually equipped by the British Army. By the time it was in Mozambique, it was equipped by the British Army and a bit of Chinese equipment and Russian equipment. That is the ironic thing about the situation there.
I'd just like to come in here as a South African and as the people that were commenting on social media. I'm happy for us to have a historical debate and discuss some of the fights and the wars and the civil unrest in various countries. In the interest of time, I'd like us to please focus on the foreigners issue and maybe give it 30 more minutes to talk about the ZEPs, the permits, to speak about, I know you'd already mentioned in the beginning, what you think the solutions should be for the current situation moving forward, and the same from Icke as well. And I'm going to welcome, after everyone has watched on social media this debate, for people to bring forth questions, to clarify certain things, to share their opinions. And hopefully with those questions and those clarifications, we can maybe set another time.
Yeah.
But for the interest of maybe the last 30 minutes we have, I'd like from both of you to hear, we've got a situation right now.
Yeah.
What are the potential solutions? If you can maybe re-emphasize the ones you raised, I can then bring his own solutions. Who should be driving them? I know he mentioned government, but in particular, because some of the issues, it seems, are political. ANC, ZANU, ZEPRA, PAC, etc. So, again, as an ordinary South African, a lot of ordinary South Africans don't want to debate the numbers and who was fighting who. And they are saying today, I'm struggling. There are foreigners here. There are Zimbabweans saying our country, currently we're struggling in our country. What is the solution for South Africans, for Zimbabweans and other foreigners in SADC and the rest of the country, from my side?
I think at the end of the day, hold on. Let me lay down. Let me lay down to just calm down my argument and then go into this discussion. So what is happening and why we're having this discussion is we're trying to say South Africa cannot look at itself in isolation. Zimbabwe's problem doesn't start now.
Yes.
Zimbabwe's problem started with the liberation struggle for South Africa. The amount we sacrificed, the fact that we're still paying 60% of our debt now still involves paying off debt for what we had to take to liberate South Africa because we had to fight wars.
And you want black South Africans to know this?
We want, the situation we are with black South Africans and South Africans in general is that, remember guys, we're like friends. Ike and I are friends. He's not working. His wife is pregnant. And then I give him money. He stays in my house. We do everything together for me to wait for him to pick himself up.
Until
And then
you
when I
kick me
pick
out.
myself up, Ike goes and creates a partnership with one of the enemies that he had that didn't even assist him during that time, which is the apartheid companies that South Africa embraced the moment it got independence. The same Anglo-Americans who were sabotaging us. They created these companies, they held hands with these companies, they did not ask for reparations from these companies, they did not break up these companies. These companies are now coming into our country on the back of SADC agreements, on the back of COMESA agreements, and they're destroying and sabotaging. South Africa did not destroy the mercenaries. Were executive outcomes. They go and do their dirty work in Congo, where we deploy again to go and fight the division of Congo so that we keep SADC as one, so that we don't have Americans in our territory. And guess what? South Africa is supporting more executive outcomes. South Africa is the one with Bo Simon Mann and Bo Mark Thatcher who want to go and overthrow people in Guinea, in Equatorial Guinea. And we say, guys, you continue with these apartheid companies to destroy other countries around you. Lapa, we liberated you. Lapa, you didn't pay any reparations. How do we recover? Because at this expanse, when white farmers began to leave Zimbabwe, you allowed them to money launder money that shouldn't have left Zimbabwe, that should not have left Zimbabwe according to the exchange controls. You allowed it to come into South African banks. Your South African banks are the ones imposing sanctions on Zimbabweans, who they haven't tried. They haven't taken to court, they haven't done anything, but just because somebody is on a sanctions list for the Americans, illegal sanctions, South Africa blocks them. Those are our business people who are supposed to build. Those are the business people who are supposed to build our companies. When we're trying to market Zimbabwe, it's the SABC.
It's everybody's fault but Zimbabwe.
No,
but it's amazing. Can I say
hold
this?
on, I'm about to finish. I'm about to finish. I'm about to finish.
The time is going to be finished.
But the problem is, how do you guys say you want us to recover and go back to our country when you are part of the people destroying us?
I'm trying to summarize what you're saying, Rutendo. It seems like your issue is our political leadership went back on what they were meant to do, and they worked with people that all the black people were kind of fighting. That's your issue. And I'm only raising this. I'm only raising this because we have to think about the ordinary South African and why they need to listen to any argument from either side. And I want to isolate, because if we're saying we're brothers, as an example, and Ike is going to come in, we need to know, are we brothers, and then who is the issue? Because currently it feels like the issue is Zimbabweans, and you feel like South Africans have forgotten history, but it seems like it's at the top, where the political leaders have become blind.
It's backed up by even the citizens.
But the citizens won't know.
Citizens are enjoying freedom now because of the sacrifices made. And those sacrifices that are made are not acknowledged. And the destruction that happened is not acknowledged. So that when you now need to help this brother to raise up after they helped you and got bankrupt helping you, you are now refusing to help them. And the question is, so how do you expect the situation to change? Not only that, when we are trying to build this Zimbabwe, market it better, get the economy going, the banks to stop
Can I
sanctioning
say
us.
this?
You are the same people who are supporting the negativity.
Can I
They are
say this?
campaigning us. You have got SABC talking nonsense and lying,
Yes.
stopping people like Rutendo from
Can I
coming on
say-
because they don't want the truth to be known.
SABC is
Let's allow
dominated
Ike.
by Zimbabweans.